This week on Kentucky Afield, do you want to fish some of the most serene and beautiful waters in the state?
This is some of the best trout fishing in the whole eastern United States.
We're wading and floating it to catch some trout. And how about your own private paradise? We show you a place that will likely fit the bill. And it's deer season, and we're in the woods in search of venison. But not just for ourselves. It's all next on Kentucky Afield.
Yeah, we got one. Sweet.
Yeah, muskrat?
Yeah.
Good job.
What do you know about that, man? That's a good fish, man.
Nice male smallmouth. Healthy, pretty color.
Cody, here. Find us one more good pheasant, Cody.
As biologists, we catch ducks and we place bands on them.
And it's just a really excellent place to see cottonmouths.
I like it.
What do you think? Like bull.
That was pretty fun.
Hello, and welcome to Kentucky Afield. I'm your host, Chad Miles. Join us as we journey the Commonwealth in search of outdoor adventure. The Cumberland River below the Wolf Creek Dam is one of the more scenic locations in the state of Kentucky. A perfect location to celebrate the career of an individual who did a lot for the Department of Fish and Wildlife. So we're here at Helms Landing, and we're going to try to catch trout today.
This is a great example of a place that you could just walk right down in, get in the water, don't have to get in very deep, and start catching fish.
And we're going to drift down a couple miles. What species of trout can we expect to catch today?
Well, we got 3 species of trout in the river. We have the rainbows. We also have the browns, of course. And then the brook trout are relatively new to the stream, so it's been a really nice addition.
Fantastic. Well, I appreciate you taking this today. I brought our entertainment.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
We're in for a good day. This is Tim Slone. Tim,
Mike, how you doing?
Tim is director of our I&E, and he's got 1 week of work left. So he figured that no better way to do it than this right here.
Fantastic.
And a word of warning, I have never caught a trout on a fly rod. I've caught bluegill, I've never caught a trout.
Well, this is a great river to get that trout in for you.
We'll see.
We got you. We got you.
And you got pliers in case I snag Chad.
Yeah, or we got a new earring. One of the two.
Give me an idea of what type of rig we're going to be fishing with here today.
Well, we're going to be using some 5-weight fly rods.
Okay.
And we're going to be doing a tandem rig, so that means we got 2 flies.
Okay.
We're going to put a heavier fly on top, a lighter fly on bottom. We got a pheasant tail-like pattern up on top, has a little biot tail in the back. And then we drop a midge pattern or a pupa pattern underneath that.
So depending on the water depth, you're going to raise this strike indicator up and down, and you've got 2 flies, and they're slightly different.
Yes.
And they're going to be anywhere from 2 to 4 feet deep, right?
Yeah, give or take, and there might be some deeper holes where they might be deeper than 4 feet.
Well, let's go catch a fish.
Absolutely, let's do it, guys.
There you go. Haven't even got the boat launched, and you've already caught a trout. You got a brook trout.
Yeah, how about that, baby? That's my first brook trout in Kentucky.
There you go.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah. You don't think of brook trout when you're thinking of Kentucky, but this is some of the best trout fishing in the whole eastern United States down here.
And you know what the great thing is that we're right here at Helms Landing. You literally just walked in right from the ramp and started catching fish. So you did that and haven't even been in the boat yet, have you?
Well, beginner's luck.
Here we go.
All right, what do you got on?
I believe it's a brookie, but I'm not sure.
And probably bigger than mine, because that's
No, he's not very big. Pretty exciting though. So this one's smaller than yours.
Oh, that's good. Let's keep it that way. I appreciate that.
It's a brown trout. Little bitty one. I think we've only got about 2.5 hours before they open the generators. We might want to get started, head to the boat. It's your chariot.
Yeah, guys, could you go a little faster? I appreciate it. Oh yeah, if I'd known you could do this, I'd eat more.
There you go, look at that thing.
So on bigger fish, you want to make sure to let them run a little bit. Using this light fly line, if you pull too hard, it's going to snap or you're just going to rip that small hook right out of its mouth. So he did a real nice job.
You don't want to fight them to exhaustion.
You know, even if they do get really tired, and especially with our big fish that we have to fight for a while, once we get them in the net, we always make sure to revive them in the net before letting them go. And then when that fish swims out of the net by itself, then we know we got a healthy release.
Here we go.
All right.
I believe this is number 2, species number 2 out of my Grand Slam today.
No, it's not. You got 2 browns.
2 browns. What do you know? I figured there's no way I can catch 2 brown trout that size. See, Tim, that's why you get a guide. They net the fish for you.
Absolutely. I get them just to untie my tangles. It's people like me are the reason there's not more guides.
So Tim, you've had a very interesting career with Fish and Wildlife because you actually served in several divisions.
I have. I started out as a summer aide in fisheries. I was a creel clerk. I was a fisheries technician. I was a fisheries biologist. Then I moved over to wildlife division and I was an endangered species biologist. Then I was head of the non-game and endangered species program, and then I ended up in the division of information and education.
Previous host, Tim Farmer, you guys worked in the same boat together.
I was a biologist and he was a fisheries technician, and we worked together in fisheries. And Rick Hill, who's our department artist, was also a fisheries technician, and we all worked together, and eventually we all ended up in the division of information and education, which was kind of nice for us.
Oh,
all right.
That thing said, I'm out of here. See you later.
And it is your first rainbow. That's a nice size rainbow right there. As far as thickness, she's really heavy.
All right, guys, if you don't mind catching this fish that's always right here.
I don't know, I can't handle him.
Too big to be caught.
Get his head out like you said.
Good job.
All right.
That's a pretty fish. Gonna be close to 15 inches.
Rainbow, yeah, it's pushing that slot, that's for sure.
Well,
Let's say it's probably just under.
Oh, come on, Mike.
I think it's
This is
over.
TV, man.
Just over.
You're supposed to add length and weight.
Tim, what point in time did the Department of Fish and Wildlife and U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service decide that trout in Cumberland River tailwaters would be a good idea?
When they built the lake, it changed the temperatures, and so the warm water fishery was eliminated down here. And so they built that federal hatchery to mitigate the effects. And then, of course, it's a partnership with the Department of Fish and Wildlife. We have biologists like Dave Dreves that have done an awful lot of work on this river and, you know, created one of the best trout fisheries in eastern United States.
Nice. You're on fire now.
That's a better one.
That's a pretty one, yeah. That's a really good fish right there. You're someone who's liked to fly fish, fly fish for a long time, but predominantly creeks and streams fishing for smallmouth and things like that. Now you're getting down here and catching some nice trout on them. That's pretty awesome.
It is, I gotta say, it's pretty great.
So that fish is in the slot. That one's over 15. So we would not be able to keep this fish if we were keeping fish.
Now you're catching fish too big to keep, Tim.
Well, I think it's got more to do with Mike telling me every move to make, tying on my flies,
I didn't say anything about that one. That was all you.
See, the thing is that I'm fishing in front of this vacuum cleaner and it's getting
Shoot.
all of them.
I think what it is I've turned off bigger fisheries than this. Kiss of death Slones who you're fishing with.
You've been with the department just about all your working life, right?
I really have. I've enjoyed every minute of it.
Yeah, there you go. No regrets at all.
No, absolutely not. Every job I've had in the department has been the best job. I've enjoyed all of them.
If you're a hunter or an outdoors person here in the state of Kentucky, you've probably had dreams of that perfect farm. Let's go visit one that comes pretty close. How you doing, Mr. Pell? Nice to meet you.
Welcome to Tallow Creek Farm.
Oh, it's a beautiful drive-in.
Thank you.
I've heard a lot about this place, and I understand we've got about 1,500 acres, right?
Right. We got a topo map in here. We can take you in. You can get a feel for where you're at, and then we'll go right around and see some stuff.
All right, that sounds great.
This is the drive you came in on, and then that's the boundary line, goes all the way back to Ball Draw Ridge. 1,300 and something of woods and a couple hundred acres cleared. So it's 1,550 acres all in one piece.
Well, let's get out there and take a look at some of this.
Let's go do it.
Now this is obviously some habitat work. This is pretty unique. Tell me what we got going on here.
All right, this is a chestnut restoration grove, and it's in conjunction with American Chestnut Foundation. All the ones in the tubes are American chestnuts. The rest of these are trainer trees, and they're providing shade and motivation for these trees to grow straight and tall. After a few years, we may go through and thin out the non-chestnut trees, and then these will cross-pollinate, and they'll take the nuts off these trees, plant them, and use the best of those to continue trying to improve the breed to build up a resistance against the Chinese chestnut tree blight.
So you'll take this here and it's like take the best genetics from these trees,
right,
and then you'll end up taking these seeds and using them in other locations.
Right.
A lot of conservation work. You can tell you're putting a lot of time and energy to try to bring this tree back.
Yeah, it's going to come back someday.
Got a really nice shooting range here. You and your family do some hunting on this farm as well?
It was the original reason we bought this place, to have a place to deer hunt.
Tell me a little bit about how you manage your wildlife here and how that is part of your bigger plan.
Well, we've probably got maybe 15 guys that deer hunt here. We try to do a lot of QDMA type stuff. You know, we try not to shoot anything under 15 inches, and we do keep all our harvest data and weigh them and pull jawbones, and you know, we try to let the deer get some age to them. But if it's a kid that wants to shoot one and it's their first deer, you know.
I bet you have tons of family members and friends that have taken their first deer on this property.
Oh, yeah.
And it really got you loving the piece of property and doing more and more to better the property. And obviously, wildlife management and conservation practices go hand in hand.
Sure.
I'm sure you got a certain amount of does you're trying to take, and you're trying to keep bucks to a certain age group.
That's what's good, keeping that data. You know, we keep, you know, observation logs of what we're seeing in the woods and all that kind of stuff.
Sure. Let's move on to the next project you got going on.
Let's go. All right, so this is a good example of a TSI project. On the right-hand side of the road, it's not been timber stand improved. On the left-hand side of the road, it has been improved. See the light hitting these little oaks down here. It also is good for the wildlife because the understory gets a lot more light and it grows better. On this side of the road, and you look on this side, it is shady. So if you want to take out this mid-story stuff, less desirable trees.
It's good for the short term,
Right.
for more light
Browse.
coming through, more browse.
Right.
But on the long term, this is really a financial decision, right?
Yeah, it can affect the next harvest after this one by as much as 40%.
So for sustainability for this particular piece of property, you plan on keeping this in your family for many
That's
generations?
the plan, exactly. Hopefully the trees will be the answer. You know, these trees will be able to help my grandkids and their grandkids keep this piece of property.
It's fantastic.
Yeah, it's a good deal for everybody.
We're going to meet up with the biologist that you've been working with for quite some time and talk to him about this major award that you've won, this Aldo Leopold Award for this farm.
We're proud of it and we appreciate them.
Well, thank you for your time.
All right.
So Chris, I can only imagine that it has really been a pleasure working on such a nice piece of property.
Oh, absolutely. To find landowners that have over 1,000 acres to work with
and the desire to do wildlife management is huge.
As a biologist, what do you think is the most unique aspect of this farm?
Well, 600 acres of timber stand improvement is certainly the bulk of their wildlife management, but it's a total package. I mean, they've got pollinator habitat for things like the monarch butterfly that we're not talking about when you're talking about deer and turkey hunting, but every inch of this is managed for wildlife.
Tell me a little bit about this Aldo Leopoldo award.
For the Pell Farm, it is just the body of work that they've done and their willingness to reach out to other landowners and be a spokesman. And also, they're into it for the long haul. And to have 4 generations interested in this piece of property is pretty amazing.
It certainly is. Well, Chris, you have a beautiful office and you're doing a great job.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you. Now let's check in and see who's catching what and where in this week's fishing report.
In western Kentucky, we're kind of starting to get into that fall type fishing pattern. We've had more current through Kentucky and Barkley Lakes because of some heavy rains, and that's brought the fish out to the secondary points and the ledges. But as soon as that current calms back down and everything gets back to normal, the back ends of the embayments ought to pick back up where the bass are chasing those small shad going into the fall of the year. Crappie are being caught by people trolling crankbaits and fishing out on the secondary creek channels around brush piles. So crappie fishing was picking up. And in the tailwaters was doing really good for catfish, striped bass, white bass. So a promising fall. Waters have cooled down. Fishing will be picking back up. So this is Paul Reister. Find you a good day and go fishing.
This is Marcy Anderson with the Fishing Report for Southeast Kentucky. The Rockcastle River Wildlife Management Area in eastern Pulaski County is now open. There are several fishable ponds on the property, many with good bass and bluegill populations. The ponds are managed under special regulations, and signs are posted at the access points on the property. Maps for the locations of the ponds are available online at fw.ky.gov. On Lake Cumberland, walleye are still being caught on main lake points. Try using bottom bouncers rigged with night crawlers in 30 feet of water. Best catches of striped bass are in the early morning hours, and they are starting to move deeper in the water column, so try fishing for them in 60 to 80 feet of water. Elsewhere in the district, rainbow trout were recently stocked in Rock Creek in McCrory County, so good luck and good fishing.
This Rob rolled in the Northwestern Fishery District. Our 2 major reservoirs, Rough River Lake and Nolin River Lake, both above Summer Pool. Nolin came up 4.5 feet, Rough came up only a couple of feet, thanks to the remnants of Hurricane Harvey. Bass fishing has been mediocre on both lakes. Most of the fish are being caught early in the morning or at night. Crappie fishing's been slow at both lakes. White bass still continue to be in scattered jumps at Nolin. A few hybrid striped bass are being caught in likewise some scattered jumps at Rough River Lake. Catfish activity has been decent, both lakes, especially very late evening or during the night. Also, don't forget the Finns Lakes, Yellow Creek Park, Panther Creek Park, and Wayman Morris Park in Davis County, as well as Madisonville City Park in Madisonville and Bevel Park in Litchfield. They've all been recently stocked with channel catfish. Please remember, always be safe on the water.
As all you deer hunters are now hitting the woods, don't forget to maybe donate some of that venison to those in need.
So this is our first hunt here with Kentucky Afield as far as the archery hunt, deer season. It's a little hot, but you got to expect that for the early September season. This one is for hunters for the hungry. We're hoping for a big doe, but you know, we'll take what we can get, and we're gonna donate this deer, and hopefully feed a couple hundred people with this. So let's do it. Hunters for the Hungry, they try to get people to take deer from Zone 1 county. So we're in Jefferson County. Doesn't exactly look like Louisville, but we're on the outskirts of Jefferson County here. We're taking this deer as a management practice on this particular farm. So let's hope if we get one, we're going to put it to good use, and we're going to feed the Hunters for the Hungry.
This is a wonderful program for the sportsmen of our state. In our state, we try to provide healthy, nutritious meals to the needy across the entire state.
And we're talking about venison. When we talk about Hunters for the Hungry, it's all venison, it's all deer.
That's exactly right. The program essentially encourages our Kentucky sportsmen to take an extra doe after they've limited out.
Zone 1 counties, you're unlimited on how many does you can harvest. So if you're out in the woods and you want to hunt a little more and your freezer's full, this is a great way to help make a donation to feed countless. Almost 400,000 a year is what you guys are averaging?
Yeah, about 400,000 meals, and you're exactly right. We're helping manage the deer population, but more importantly, we're feeding the needy in our community. We're helping farmers mitigate crop depredation. We're taking deer that might otherwise be involved in an accident. But I think last but not least, it's a wonderful community relations effort that our hunters are making for our sport every year.
Closed the deal. First night, that was pretty awesome. We're gonna set another 20 minutes and let that deer expire. And get down, and hopefully this one here is for the Hunters for the Hungry. I couldn't get a shot at that deer. It knew you were here. So I had to shoot it setting down, which is a little awkward for me. We heard it fall, so the deer's not that far away, so. We got one down for the 2016. All right, here's the arrow, just located it. It's blood soaked. Speckled blood. Oh my goodness. You gotta be close because there's blood everywhere. But here she is, pretty good sized doe. It sure did not go far. That's still have some of the summer coat. You see it's coming off. This will be a great deer for the Hunters for the Hungry. Even though you're donating this to Hunters for the Hungry, it's important that you remember this has to be a legally harvested deer. So we now are going to go ahead and mark that we have taken a deer, the county, and the sex. This is a female. So now this deer has to be telechecked and have a telecheck confirmation number on it before we can drop it off to the processor. No processor will take a deer, Hunters for the Hungry or otherwise, without that confirmation number. So 3 deer came in. There were 2 that were a little bit smaller, and this was the big one. They were keeping their distance, feeding on their own. They weren't paying any attention to mom, so we had no ethical concerns with taking a shot at this deer, especially with the opportunity that we got here. Those fawns will be fine.
Now let's see who else is out there having fun as we check out this week's ones that didn't get away. Here's JJ Bowe, who lives in Florence, Kentucky, who caught a nice 18-inch channel catfish at Leary Lake. Nice job. Here we have Kaylin Klein with a nice turkey that was taken during the spring youth season. This turkey was taken on her great-grandparents' farm. Nice turkey. Here we have Colton Klein with his first gobbler, a nice turkey taken during the youth spring season. This is a 23-pound bird. 10-year-old Dalton Butler of Cluster, Kentucky is all thumbs up over this 8-point buck. Nice buck that was taken on the second day of hunting season with a 30-06. Congratulations. Here we have 8-year-old Hayden Leash, who's a big Kentucky Afield fan who took his first deer, an 8-point buck, in Indiana. Nice deer. Here we have Skylar Brandenburg, who caught this nice bass and also bluegill at her uncle's farm pond in Hardin County. Nice fish. Our hunting seasons are finally here, and I'm sure you have plenty of questions. To get those questions answered, tune in next week to our live Fall Hunting Call-In Show on September the 16th. And remember, hunting and fishing on private property is a privilege. Always ask permission and thank the landowner. Till next week, I'm your host, Chad Miles, and I hope to see you in the woods or on the water.